We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports? We hope that you're making it a good one. We know that we are as well. If you heard Benjamin Ruffino screaming in the microphone as the intro was playing, that he was. And here he comes again. We're live, buddy. It's a weekday. But here comes Benjamin. Here comes Benjamin. Here comes Benjamin. You got food on your shirt? Everybody's going to know you ate spaghetti tonight. But tell them, Ben, we are live. Welcome back to the show. I am your host, Blake Ruffino and Ben Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports? We hope that they're making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Guys, do us a favor. Hit the like and share. Share it to some groups on Facebook as we'll greatly appreciate it. Will we have some breaking news during the show tonight? Bye. Will we have some breaking news? We'll get into that. Ken Mulkey to LSU. Is that a real thing? Is that actually going to happen? What are we hearing? Are the talks heating up? Maybe they are. Maybe they are. We'll get into that as well. Also, Kyle Sutherland of the Hog Talk podcast. As we continue to go around the SEC, we're going to be going to Arkansas tonight, talking some Arkansas football and baseball as we do continue our trip around the South, and we'll do that. But before we get started, guys, we got to thank our good partners over at Believe Podcast for everything that they do for us, and we got to thank our good sponsors over at GM Varnado and Sons. GM Varnado and Sons has faithfully been serving your Denham Springs and Baton Rouge area for over 62 years. With their highly trained technicians, there's absolutely nothing that they can't do. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. Give them a call today at 225-664-9992. That's 225-664-9992. And tell them your good friend, Mr. Blake Ruffino at AYS, sent you on by. And our good friend, Mr. Richie Roche over at Roche's Lawn and Landscape, 225-937-7220. That's 225-937-7220. If you want the best looking yard in your neighborhood, you have to give Richie Roche a call today. Again, that's 225-937-7220. And tell him Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by. Okay, we're going to have the live baseball updates. I'll tell you as we continue to do this on Tuesdays, we give you those live LSU baseball updates. We'll get to all the comments. Hashtag As Blake is going to be prevalent again as we do every Tuesday. The hashtag As Blake. Chase Orgeron says, no, man, no. Yes, man, yes. If you're referring to Ken Mulkey, yes, it's heating up. It is heating up. I'm going to tell you some of the things that we're hearing as the ULM hitter is going to fly out to center field. I have been told by multiple people. Now, you guys know that have been following Are You Serious Sports for a long time. If it's your first time following AYS, we have built our name on having some sources, breaking some news, and putting some news, LSU news out there as we've built this over the last couple of years. One thing that we have heard today is that the Ken Mulkey to LSU talks are heating up. So much so, one source told me that it could possibly be going down tomorrow. Now, I'm not going to go out on a limb. I want to get a little bit more sourcing. I want to get a little bit more details as to what's going on with Ken Mulkey. But we are hearing that it's a very strong possibility that Scott Woolward and Ken Mulkey have talked. And one source, oh, my God, it's a ULM batter just blasted that one. Cruz makes the catch on the warning track. Jeez, I'm Marion Joseph. But that Ken Mulkey is a high possibility, along with her daughter, could possibly be making their way down to Baton Rouge. A lot of people we've had mixed, very mixed bag about Ken Mulkey to LSU. A very, very mixed bag. Some people have gone to the extent of saying LSU can't spend $2.5 million on a women's basketball coach. Well, with all due respect, and I said this a little last night on a little bit of my rant. If you believe that LSU is not going to try to go out there during a PR nightmare that they're facing right now, then you're crazy. Kenny says that Charles Hannegriff said there's no way and no chance that we get Mulkey. He also said that about us when we said Jake Peets is going to be the next offensive coordinator at LSU too. So just want to throw that out there. Now, the deal is not done. The deal is not done. I'm just telling you what a couple people are talking about. Now, I don't know if this is going to happen. I'm not sure. But there are a lot of talks that Woodward and Mulkey have talked. So if that's so, and if she wants to come home, then we'll see it. And we'll have to see it to believe it. I'm tired of – I mentioned this at length last night. I'm tired of saying you can't pay a woman $2.5 million. What in the hell do you think you're saying when you say that you can't pay a woman $2.5 million to coach? Stop with that Rudy Poo ass take. God. Tasha Thibodeau says, hashtag bring Mulkey home. Yeah, it seems to be gaining steam. Again, could she be using LSU for leverage? It's a very strong possibility. Very, very, very strong possibility that she could be using LSU as leverage. But these people going around saying there's no chance. Okay. You better be careful when people go out there and say there's no chance, you better be careful. Blaine Smith says, any chance we could bring back former player back to coach the baseball program? I'm assuming you're talking about Blake Dean. I don't think Blake Dean is your guy. I mean, guys, he's not winning at UNO. What makes you think he's going to win at LSU? So you're going to get a subpar, with all due respect to Blake Dean, you're going to go get a subpar coach to come to LSU? Guys, this is LSU. I mean, it's one thing if you're talking about Kim Mulkey coming all the way to back to Louisiana, back to her roots. I mean, she grew up in Hammond, which is only 30 miles away. That's completely different. She's winning. Blake Dean is not. I mean, yes, he may have a winning record here and there, but they're not winning the Southland. Maybe I think they won it once, but they're not doing anything fantastic in a weaker conference. Just throwing that out there. Blake Doucette says, hashtag ask Blake, heard that unless LSU gets lucky with losses from other schools, LSU will miss the SEC tourney, being we lost the South Carolina series. When was the last time LSU didn't make the tourney? It's been a very long time. A very, very long time. John says Kim would be the biggest home run hire in LSU history. John, I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to go that far. From on paper standpoint, I think you could say that because she's basically what you're saying is here too, and you might be to some degree correct on this. Now that I'm kind of sitting back and thinking about it, you're bringing in a national winning coach, a top 2-3 coach in women's college basketball into your program. You know, just on paper, you might be a little right there. You might be a little right. Chase Orgeron said, whoever said no to Kim is dumb. Yeah, but you know how these guys can go out there and do it. I mean, they're going to say there's no chance we're going to get Kim Mulkey. And some people are saying it could go down as early as tomorrow. I don't know that. I mean, look, I trust one individual who told me today that Kim Mulkey to LSU is extremely possible and that they've talked. But he does not feel completely confident of that at the exact moment. So with that being said, if a guy that I trust a lot and he has some stuff, so we'll see. And look, LSU can be used as leverage. LSU could easily be used as leverage, and it might be happening. It might be happening. I mean, look, we've been here before. Let me just say this. Okay, I would not be shocked. If we saw a statement from Kim Mulkey saying either which way, that Kim Mulkey is coming or she's not. She's probably going to deny some stuff too. I'm just going to let you know that right now. She's definitely going to probably deny. And then we will know that LSU was used as leverage. So I've heard that there is a lot of heat behind it, but I've also heard that there's not. So we'll have to wait and see. Let's get to a couple more of these comments. Let's see. Jacob Cole says, you didn't have to call that man out like that. Well, oh well. Let's see. I got a text that said Kim Mulkey is denied. We'll see that. We'll see. But we're going to continue to monitor it as it continues to go on. All right, Kyle Sutherland is going to be joining us in about 8 minutes. LSU has Trey Morgan on second base with 1 out. Let's see. Travis says UNO is 2 games back from Southeastern in first place, and they have a 4-game series this weekend. I mean, yes, but let's just say hypothetically he wins this series and they win the Southland Conference. Okay, so he won the Southland Conference once. Just throwing that out there. Let's see. Shelton on Facebook Live says Mulkey at LSU will require creative thinking on contract. She has to have incentives for winning. She is coming to a tougher conference. I don't know about. Well, yeah, I guess you could say that with South Carolina, Mississippi State. She can't come to LSU to retire. Maybe she is. Maybe she is. And look, again, some parts of me thinks that Mulkey might be using LSU as leverage, but I don't know. I'm not sure about that. We'll have to wait and see. But there is some. Let's see. Curtis says I'm getting some text, so I'm just trying to make sure because it's Kim Mulkey related. Brandy says bring her to BR. LSU needs to start putting money in women's athletics. I could agree with that. David says UGA message boards think Eric Gilbert is going back there to play. What is scoop? I'm not sure about that. I was told, and look, we kind of broke the news on Eric Gilbert being back at LSU. I don't think he's going to Georgia. Why would he be living with BJ Ojolari? We told you that 2 weeks ago. I mean, look, he's been living with people inside that program. So at the end of the day, let's see. I mean, at the end of the day, we'll have to see. So I want to be very careful because I'm getting some text here. All right, we do have kind of some not some breaking news, but some rumors going around. So I've got a couple of texts verifying this. There is an attempt from LSU per Football Scoop that LSU might attempt to recruit Mark Emmert to return as their president. That's when I've kind of been a little distracted over here. So if you don't know who Mark Emmert is the president of the NCAA. And per Football Scoop, the NCAA they're saying that Mark Emmert could possibly becoming the new president or be recruited to be the new president at LSU. Now, let me say this. If Mark Emmert and Scott Woodward get back together, you better put your big girl britches on and your big boy britches on because, as Kevin Hart would say, it's about to go down. The last time those two men worked together, they brought a guy by the name of Nick Saban. Do you remember him? He was okay at LSU, right? Like he was mensa mensa, as the Italians would say. Mensa mensa. So that's why I was a little distracted about Football Scoop saying that Mark Emmert might be coming to LSU or be recruited to LSU. Guys, we greatly appreciate you joining the show. Everyone that's joining us now, do us a favor by hitting the like and share it to some Facebook groups, share on Twitter, and hit that retweet. Everybody that sends us stars on Facebook, we greatly appreciate that. Tasha, who runs the Real LSU Nation. What's going on, Tasha? You guys need to go join her Facebook group. She says, same folks saying Mulkey won't come to LSU are the same folks that said Burrow wouldn't win the Heisman. Yeah, some of them. I mean, and what's crazy is it's usually LSU based. You know, LSU media, LSU guys saying, halfway through the season, there's absolutely no way Joe Burrow's winning the Heisman. Guys, I mean, I don't know what else you had to see from that. I mean, when Joe Burrow went to Alabama and put the smack it down, as The Rock would say, on that candy ass, I don't know what else you needed to see. I don't know, man. He might get hurt. Well, he might have. He's definitely the front runner. Justin says, so are you okay with keeping Paul Manera? I never said that. I just said that everybody's saying Blake Dean. Blake Dean's not winning anything. Guys, quite honestly, if you're going to go hire a guy in the Southern Conference, yes, I get that he was at LSU, but if you're going to go hire a guy from the Southern Conference, guess what? He's got to win it. I mean, will he be on maybe a short list? Of course. I mean, he's an LSU guy. But at the end of the day, let's not sit here and act like that we can't go get somebody that shows to win. LSU did score. I see that. Peggy Reg says that. So it's 1-0. Bottom of the third. Runners on first and third with 2X. Kyle Sutherland from the Hall Talk podcast is going to be joining us as we continue to go around the SEC in about 3 minutes. Shelton says baseball house is right for cleaning. Who comes in? Agree. Blake is not the man. Not me, but Blake Dean. Tennessee has been turned around very quickly. I agree with that. And look, I keep seeing these Eric Gilbert things. Guys, let's just relax. I mean, he relax on the Eric Gilbert stuff. One UGA booster goes on 247 Georgia, or whatever the hell you want, Dogs 247, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, Eric Gilbert!" When y'all were trashing the kid 5 months ago, when you're completely trashing the kid 5 months ago, just relax. Kenny Russell says anything to help bolster our school and athletics in the name of LSU would be great. Yeah, it'd be great. And look, LSU's going through a Title IX investigation. And the last thing that you need from LSU, let me make this very clear to all 171 of you watching this live right now. The last thing that you need right now is to simply say, as LSU, as Kay Beloso strikes out, so in the bottom of the third, is to say that you're not going to pay a woman. Yeah, run out there and say you're not going to hire a woman. Go out there and run out there and say that. Say you're not going to give her $2.5 million and see how that shit works out for you. Y'all better quit that. Bear Grant Country Granger. I love my country people, but you know country, when he calls in, man, he country. Country says, #Ask Blake, I'm going to need my royalties on you using my country accent. Well, look, man. Look, country, we made you famous by using the country accent. I mean, I didn't name you Country Barrett. I mean, God, hoochie coochie, man. I didn't do that to you. But this man said I got to pay this dude royalties. Cody says, I love to see Ryan Terrio as our coach. I mean, with all due respect to Ryan, are we going to go hire somebody off the street? I mean, guys, come on, man. I mean, I'm not trying to put down on these hires, but are we going to hire Terrio off the street? Terrio's never recruited. He's never been a college head coach. I love him to death, but come on. All right, we're going to get to Kyle Sutherland. Just a couple more comments, and then we'll get to him. Ryan Thibodeau says Emmert and Mulkey would be the shot in the arm that LSU needs. I agree with that. I do agree with that. Again, I want to be careful. I know that we came out the gate saying that we're hearing that there's a chance that Mulkey might be coming back to LSU and that they've talked. I also have something in my gut telling me that she could be using LSU as leverage. So I just want to make everybody know that I feel good that there's a good chance and that they're communicating and that you guys want her to come back. But at the end of the day, I just want to be cautious because some people are saying that they're 50-50, and then that makes me get the bubble guts, especially when we're talking about coaching hires. All right, let's do this. Let's get over to one of our good sponsors, and we're going to bring in Kyle Sutherland from the Hog Talk podcast as we continue to go around the SEC and continue to cover some LSU baseball. But before we get to that, guys, we got to get over to our good friends over at Monster Bass. Guys, I got to tell you something about Monster Bass. I'm so excited that I just got all of my new baits so I can go out to the fishing hole this upcoming weekend and catch the biggest bass that possibly I've ever seen in my life. They're quickly becoming the #1 fishing brand of anglers everywhere. They have the best baits, and it's just like going out on the water with one of those pros. Subscribe to monsterbass.com for $10, a $10 subscription, and you can get the best baits from the best brands, and they cover all of the industry from all over the regions and country. So if you're wanting to get bigger bass, if you're wanting to get bigger fish in this upcoming summer and spring, go over to monsterbass.com, type in the promo code AYS10. You will get $10 off your first box. That's right, $10 off your first box if you go over and type in that promo code AYS10. And then that way they know your good friend, Mr. Blake Ruffino at AYS, sent you on by. And our good friend, Mr. John Patton over at Area Home Lending, 225-663-2500. That's 225-663-2500. If you're thinking about buying a new home, saving money on that mortgage that you have now, or even doing that cash out refi, the timing has never been better. Again, 225-663-2500, and tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by. Okay, our good friend Mr. Kyle Sutherland from the Hog Talk podcast is joining us as we continue to go around the SEC. This time, we go right up the boot and we go to Arkansas. Kyle, what's going on, my man?
What's going on, Blake? Appreciate you having me, man.
No problem, man. I'm glad that you were able to come on as we continue to go around the SEC. And I'm really looking forward to the conversation that we're going to have. We're going to talk some baseball. We're going to talk some football. Let's just start off with football first, as we're in the heart of spring. I gotta throw this out there. I played football with a guy named Cody Kennedy, who y'all hired on that staff, that Sam Pittman hired on that staff. I've seen multiple interviews, and Sam Pittman saying that he's really excited to bring Cody Kennedy, a Louisiana guy. I know he's from Georgia, but has made a lot of roots in Louisiana. Are people starting to get some steam around Cody Kennedy and this new coaching hire for the tight ends?
Well, I think that at first, it's kind of today's nature too. Anytime that you hear of somebody, if you've heard of them before, then you love the hire because usually they're pretty popular. If they're not very popular, then you're not going to like it. That's just kind of the way that the world is right now. But I love the hire. He's a young guy, can relate to a lot of these kids that he's recruiting. I know that you said off air when we were talking that you played with him, and then when he finished his college career, spent time at West Georgia, and then joined Sam Pittman at Georgia before he went to Tulane, and did a phenomenal job at Tulane as the run game coordinator, top 20 in the AAC. I think that's their conference, the AAC, the last couple of years, the last 2 years. And then he comes in and being a tight end coach with an offensive line mentality, that's great that we're going to be able to have somebody there that has just more experience in developing the run game, because what's Kendall Briles going to want to do? He's going to want to mix it up, but he's going to want to throw. And so I think just having another guy in there with Brad Davis, with Sam Pittman, that has that offensive line mentality, another proven guy, that's just going to be another great thing, especially once we get another one or two running backs behind Traylon Smith. But overall, I love the hire, and I have no reason not to trust any hire that Sam Pittman makes.
Well, and that's the question I was about to ask you, is about Sam Pittman. Is it seems like the Arkansas fans and faithful have really rallied around him. You go get the big name hire, and then now you had to fire him. I'm not even going to talk about it. I know Arkansas fans don't want to talk about the head coach before Sam Pittman, so I'm not going to go there. But have kind of rallied around Sam Pittman and the things that he's done. And look, in his first season, an all SEC schedule, I thought that they fared very well in the things that they did. Now that he's going into his second season, how have the Hogs been doing this spring?
I was very impressed with the spring game. I never really buy in a whole lot to stuff that we see there, just because usually it's a blowout on one side and you're going against each other. So you really don't get that good of a look. We probably won't get a true look until we play Texas in week 2. But I love Sam Pittman. You look at the landscape today, some of the top coaches, you guys down there in Baton Rouge, Ed Orgeron and Mario Cristobal, Dabo Swinney, were all at one point. They were all at one point position coaches and that ended up have been successful head coaches. And I think that Sam Pittman, even though he was never a coordinator before and was not a head coach at the major level, just JUCO, I think that he's done great with especially when you come in and you hire Barry Odom first off, and then you have Kendall Briles right after that, two of the best minds at their respective sides of the ball. And then you also bring in a lot of guys. I really like Jimmy Smith, the running backs coach, with the pipeline that he has there at Georgia. And, we're not going to celebrate 3 wins, but when you consider where this Razorback program was, like you said, under Chad, 4 wins in 2 years, he had as many wins as he did group of 5 losses. Because when you think of Colorado State, North Texas, all that, it's just as bad as it could get. Yeah, it's just I think that it was the worst hire in the history. I didn't think it at the time when it happened, but I thought that Chad Morris was the worst hire in SEC history. And so just to see the progress from last year, especially in game 1 against Georgia. Now I know they ran away with it in the second half, but there really wasn't any games where the Razorbacks laid down, whereas it was under Chad. Even there were some games where you would think that they were going to make a run and either come back or hold the lead and hold on to the win, but they just couldn't ever do that. And so he's just completely changed the culture for the better. The Razorback program, the athletic program overall, is just doing a lot of great things right now. And so really it's next up for Sam Pittman to keep building on what he's been able to do.
I'm going to say 2 things. Number one, are you telling me that a line coach could actually become a head coach and win a national title? Hashtag Ed Orgeron. I don't care that a guy was never a coordinator. Doesn't bother me in the slightest, because those kids played for him and it showed. And Kyle, I got to be honest, it showed when they played Georgia, right? Like, this team's kind of rallying around. I don't care that they lost. I know that you guys don't want to lose, and I understand that. And I have a slogan that fans know that I say losing is never acceptable. But for them and for you guys coming out of that and really just punching Georgia in the mouth, look, LSU was a close game. You had a lot of close games. What is something that you're looking for? All right, so 3 wins in the first season. What are you looking for now? What is the realistic goal for Arkansas in this next upcoming season?
Realistically, I think that they can. I've got them at about 5 to 6 wins right now, winning all the non-cons. I'm not sure about Texas. Sark is rolling sevens. He has just been incredible as the offensive coordinator at Alabama. I mean, props to him, a guy whose life was in shambles a couple of years ago, and here he was the hottest name, one of the hottest names on the coaching carousel, and down at UT, and I expect him to do some great things down there. But I definitely think that the Razorbacks are going to win 5. I'm not quite ready to say that they're going to get that 6th win and make a bowl game. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I just don't know about the offensive and defensive line right now. I feel a lot better about the offensive line, more so than I do the defensive line. We've got, Blake, a lot of 4-star guys coming out of high school. So on paper, I say this on my show all the time, on paper we got tons of talent, just like we did last year in the secondary, and they showed last year that they were able to do some quality things. But I just don't know what the offensive line and the defensive line is going to do. And again, going back to Sam Pittman, Cody Kennedy, Brad Davis, and then you look at Barry Oda, all those guys, there. I think that again, they're going to get the 5. I just can't say the 6 yet, but overall, that's still improvement, and we're not going to settle. I know Arkansas fans seem to be notorious for moral victories or whatever, but I definitely think that they're going to at least be flirting with the bowl game, and I think they could steal one. You don't know really what Missouri's going to do. Eli Drinkwitz did a pretty good job in his first year there. Ole Miss, I think, is going to be really, really upset for what we did to them last season. And so then, of course, Mississippi State, I'm not a big Mike Leach guy. I say on my show all the time that I can't stand the air raid. So I think that we can probably shut that down again. But it's just really, what is that game that they're going to get over the hump and win a game that they're not supposed to win, which I guess you could say that technically against Mississippi State and Ole Miss. But either way, I definitely think that they're going to at least come close to doubling their wins. Might not be saying much, but they'll be close to a bowl game if they don't get there.
No, I think it is saying a lot, Kyle, if we're being dead honest. I mean, if you win 6 games and you go to a bowl game, you're still trending upwards. I mean, when you go from 0 SEC wins to literally doubling or getting 3 and then doubling it the following season, I think that Sam Pittman can have right on track. He's a great recruiter. We've seen that he's done a lot of good things in recruiting, so it'll be really interesting to see what he does there. We do have a lot of fan questions in reference to baseball, and then we'll get back to some football. But Craig Schilling says, #Ask Kyle, any part of the Arkansas baseball team that you have questions about that would keep them from winning the College World Series?
Right now, it's just pitching. So our baseball analyst, Kevin Bohannon, I was talking with him about it last week on the show. And is there really anything that can slow these guys? Offensively, 70 home runs. Our record is from 2018. When 2018 is a tough season to talk about with Razorback fans, the way that College World Series ended. But the record was 98. Yeah, that was tough. But the record was 98 home runs, and we're already at 70 at this point in the year. And so it's very likely they could break that. But really, it's going to be the pitching. We've had some shaky, especially starting pitching. Kevin Kopp's your setup guy that's there. Usually sometimes he's been a closer, sometimes he's been a setup guy. You've had some decent relievers, and Peyton Paulette has shown that he can be a quality starter, but he can also be he's really, it's just a roller coaster. He's either really, really up or really, really down. Lyle Lockhart, who was your most consistent guy, who's been the Sunday guy since the beginning of the season, he has hardly been able to make it out of the 4th, 5th inning over the last couple of weeks. And so they might do some shaking up there. And then Zeb Vermillion, what's he going to do? It's kind of been between Zeb Vermillion and Peyton Paulette for that Friday spot. But Dave Van Horn really likes Patrick Wicklander at that Friday spot there. He came in a couple of weeks ago, and really outside of Ole Miss, he's pitched great in the SEC. He's kind of back to, or at least showing flashes of what he was his true freshman year when him and Connor Nolan were doing good things. Connor's kind of fallen off a little bit there, but really it's just the pitching right now. Can they hold up? Because we're digging really deep into our relievers way, way sooner than we should be. And so you just got to make sure that you can figure out something and get it turned around so that way you don't wear them out by the time we get to June.
I know this is going to be a stupid question, okay, but from an Arkansas fan perspective, with Van Horn and what happened in 2018, and if they don't, or if they're not able to win a World Series in the upcoming years, if maybe not even this year, are some Arkansas fans going to start getting a little upset with Van Horn? And I'm not going to say fire him, but are they going to start? Is this tide going to start literally turning on him if he can't make a deep push in the College World Series, if not win it?
Sure, there's always that crowd, Blake, and we see it all the time. It's especially during a loss. When we lost 16-1 to Alabama, it was like the end of the world. Or really, any time we lose again, you're just going to have that in every fan base. But one thing that I ask every time I've talked to probably about maybe 10 to 12 former baseball players, and the one question I always ask them is, look, Dave Van Horn's one of the most consistent coaches in the entire country, has been for a long time. What do you say to that crowd who doubts him, that says, yeah, he's a great coach, he can get us to Omaha, but he can't win? Well, Blake, first of all, I'll say it's not Dave Van Horn's fault that 3 guys missed a pop fly there in the College World Series and was one out away. And so, but the fact of the matter is that as hard as it is to do it, and you look at LSU, they've had a lot of great teams, but under Paul, they've only won 1 national championship, should have probably won a couple more. But it is so incredibly hard, especially in baseball. It's hard in any sport. But the thing is, you got to look at it is he's got us in contention just about every single year. And he really just picked up from what Norm DeBryan had built. Norm DeBryan was coaching in the 70s at Fairgrounds in Fayetteville. And now we have Baum Stadium, what it is now, and Baum Walker Stadium. And so there's always going to be that crowd. But I think the realistic fans and the fans that actually know sports a little bit more so than just being a couch coach or whatever they call it, most people understand how important he is, and that the fact that how blessed we are to have him. He's going to retire there, and so it's that small crowd that's always going to say stuff using the keyboard and not in person.
Well, and look, I think that your point just is really hitting home, and I'm sure you can see the comments behind the scenes. If you can't, just hit the comment section. I should have told you before the show. But a lot of LSU fans are saying that too. When you in your analysis about Paul, they should have won more than just the one that they've done now. And it seems like if it continues, that might be the same kind of feeling for Van Horn moving forward. I do have another question from Carl the Cat Don, big baseball fan. He says, hashtag ask Kyle, will the Hogs kick down the door and win the college? That's not the one I was doing. Sorry, hold on. What was the one? Oh, here it is. It's from Craig. My bad. He said, hashtag ask Kyle, do Arkansas fans see LSU as a rival in football in the battle for the Golden Boot? And I'm going to add to that, is Texas A&M Arkansas's biggest rival, or is it LSU in y'all's perspective?
I would say right now that it would probably be Ole Miss. Now, Blake, you did a good job picking me to come on, because I'm actually one of the few Arkansas fans that has no problem with LSU. I hate Ole Miss with every fiber in my being. There's
a reason you're here, Kyle. To rudely interrupt you, there's a reason you're here. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, and I just can't stand Ole Miss for various reasons. I could do an entire podcast series on why I don't like them. But LSU fans have always been incredible to me. I actually had, when I was living in Texas, one of my best friends was a LSU fan, and we used to watch games together and stuff. But anyways, I say all that to say that I was hoping this would come up, because I know most, and this goes back to the realistic Arkansas fans. We know that LSU hates Alabama. At Arkansas, whenever we beat you guys in 2014, 2015, I think in 2016, that there was a little bit more hunger, not necessarily to get the boot back, was really just to shut Arkansas fans up, because we're very, just like every fan base, we're vocal on Twitter, we're vocal on social media. And so I think that it kind of depends on the situation. Like those years when it was really close, it was like Arkansas would win a close one, or LSU would win a close one, that I think that the players took it a little bit more serious back then. But over the last few years, it's really been just a complete bloodbath. And so outside of, I guess, really 2018, you guys won by a touchdown. But I personally don't really see LSU as a rival. I have nothing but the utmost respect for them. But this was I like the Golden Boot and everything. I've actually had a chance to be right beside it and have a picture and all that good stuff. But I don't necessarily consider LSU a rivalry, just because you guys are rivals with Alabama. And so I always loved the matchup. I used to go to War Memorial Stadium when they would come to Little Rock all the time, and that was a fun tailgate and all that. But I personally don't really consider that a rivalry, just my opinion.
That sumbitch is heavy. That golden boot's heavy, man. I picked that thing up. That sumbitch is heavy, man. Look, I gotta get do some curls for the girls just to pick that damn boot up. I mean, that thing is really heavy. If you have some more questions for Kyle, hit us with the hashtag Ask Kyle. We greatly appreciate him joining the show. We'll let you know where all you guys can get all of his great stuff. An interesting question, because a lot of fans are wanting Paul Mainieri's head. Do you think that Van Horn, which I don't agree with this, and I don't think that he would, but would Van Horn ever leave Arkansas? And not just for LSU. Let's keep LSU out of the equation here. Let's just say if another team came after Van Horn, do you see that he would ever leave Arkansas, or is he pretty just locked in there?
Yeah, he's definitely locked in. He's been there for I guess now about 20 years, and just the facility. I'm not going to go into facility debates or anything like that, but there's no question that Arkansas is in the top 2, top 3. There's no debate there whatsoever. And just with and they've even got more stuff coming up. And so with what he's built and what he has there now, I mean, he's solidified himself as one of the best coaches that we've ever had in all of sports on campus. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, there's no way he's around 60, 61 years old. I don't see him. I don't think that you could really put a number that he would take over leaving Arkansas. That's something that I don't see happening.
I don't either. Getting back to football talk here, Kyle, who's going to be the quarterback for Arkansas this upcoming year? I know that Felipe Franks, although took a lot of criticism, I thought did some really good things last year for Arkansas. Who do you think is going to take that spot, and do you think that position is just completely open for Arkansas this season?
Well, Sam has said that it's KJ. That's one of the many things we love about Sam as opposed to Chad. Is Chad always made it like it was just a mystery up until the opening game. The 2 years that he was on campus, he waited until the Monday before game day to announce the quarterback. Sam said that Felipe's our guy last year. This year he has said that KJ is up to this point. Now, I don't see nothing against Malik. Malik does need to develop a little bit more in the pocket. He's got wheels. He's blazing quick, one of the fastest. I don't know if he's one of the fastest guys on the team, but he's pretty dang fast. And so he can throw on the run. He looked really good there in the spring game. But KJ showed me enough. Now, not that my opinion matters, but KJ showed me enough against Missouri last year that this is his team right now. And so long as he does not bust in fall camp and right there up to the beginning of the first game, then I don't see how you don't go with anybody but him.
Last question, I'm going to get you out of here. And I guess because you guys did have the 3 wins and you're continuing to build, there might be multiple. I mean, I know that LSU, who's got a lot of talent, and hell, even Alabama, who has a shit ton of talent coming off a national title, has a lot to replace. The first, and this is going to be a 2-part question. Number 1, what do you think is Arkansas's biggest strength going into this football season? And number 2, the flip question of that, what is their biggest weakness going up into this upcoming fall?
Well, you heard the news about Mike Woods, our number 2 receiver, just transferred, and there's all kinds of rumors swirling. It's been all day, really, yesterday and today when he officially announced. I still think that you got to probably put the wide receiver position group up there as your strong point on your team. Either that or your secondary when you got Monteric Brown, Jalen Catalon, who I think is the best safety in the entire country. I know that's biased, but I certainly believe that he is the best in the country. And you got Monteric Brown, him, Greg Brooks. There's a lot of guys that are playmakers in the secondary there. So I would say maybe either I'm gonna give it a 2-part as a tie and give it to the secondary and the receivers. But the weakest point, I'm gonna go back to the D line, just because we got to get a pass rush this year. We've got the guys that are capable of doing that, and we've got the defensive coordinator, and we've got the coaches that are capable of making that happen. It's just with the addition of Jamal Ashley, who came in from Tulsa after we had parted ways with Derek LeBlanc. But I just really question the defensive line. And Blake, I really think that if we do get that pass rush going, that this is going to be a dangerous defense, because we saw at the beginning of last year that this was one of the best defenses in the SEC to start off. Then people started kind of figuring you out. You weren't really getting a pass rush. You had some injuries. You had some inconsistencies. And so that's really going to be the question. Is I think that this pass rush is either going to make or break the way that this defense is.
Man, you've been absolutely fantastic. We're going to have to bring you on as the season gets closer. Look, I love football, and I love SEC football. The one thing, Kyle, and I'm going to get you out of here on this. I lied. Are you going to miss the CBS jingle? Ba, 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 ba. Are you going to miss that jingle when ESPN takes over the SEC?
I am, because it's what I've heard my entire life. Especially when I think of that now, it's obviously all season, But when I think of that, I think of around Thanksgiving Day when we used to play LSU. That's really what it reminds me of. When I was growing up as a kid and going to the tailgates, going to the games and stuff. It was just that was the time of my life. We don't really have much going on at War Memorial. There's a lot of stories going on behind that. We don't really have much going on at War Memorial football wise anymore outside of high school sports. But yeah, I'm for sure going to miss it. I can adapt to change, no question. But that is going to be something to get used to because that's what we've heard forever.
Absolutely. Well, look, the LSU fans love you because LSU scored a run when you were on in their midweek game, so they love you, and we're going to have to bring you back, man. Tell everybody where they can catch all y'all's podcasts and everything that y'all are doing over at the Hog Talk Podcast.
Well, just like yourself, we are on the Believe Podcast Network. We're also part of the ESPN Arkansas Hit That Line Podcast Network. So you can find us on either one of those. And anywhere you listen, Apple, Spotify, the whole 9 yards. And then you can find us on Twitter at the Hog Talk, and then also the Hog Talk on Facebook, and then at the Hog Talk on Instagram. We don't really post quite as much on Instagram. We're mostly really active on Facebook and Twitter, but you can find us there basically anywhere at the Hog Talk. And so I got to give some love back to you guys. You guys have been great. Appreciate all the comments. And again, I have nothing but the utmost respect for LSU. And you guys can tailgate with the best of them, and you can play with the best of them too.
Hey, man, all LSU fans I think they want more than wins this year is to go tailgate and drink liquor and just get obliterated before an SEC or LSU night game. That's what they really want. So hopefully
I got to say, I think that was the one time that I was around a bunch of LSU fans. That was the most liquored up I'd probably seen them before noon of any fan base. It was quite comical. But, hey, that gumbo and that crawfish – well, we didn't have crawfish during football season, but – the gumbo, the jambalaya, man, you can't beat it. Can't beat it.
Absolutely. Man, we're going to have to bring you back on. Thank you so much, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, Blake. Appreciate it, buddy. We'll take care.
That is Kyle Sutherland from the Hog Talk Podcast. Absolutely amazing, guys. Just absolutely amazing. We're going to have to bring him on. He's our new Arkansas guy. That's for damn sure, as he did such a great job. All right, we're going to do this. We're going to get to one last break, and then we're going to continue to talk some stuff. Talk some football, some hashtag Ask Blake. You know what? We'll end the segment. We'll end tonight's show on the hashtag Ask Blake. So fire your questions array right now. Hashtag Ask Blake if you got any, and then we'll get to this last break and go from there. But before then, we got to talk about our good friends over at your home team. Guys, go to team.kw.com. That's team.kw.com for the number one real estate team in the North Shore. Meet with one of their great real estate agents today, and if you mention the show, they're going to put you up to the front of the line. If you're looking for the home that you've always been waiting for, go to team.kw.com. Again, that's team.kw.com, and they will put you in that home that you want to. It's always been dreaming about. That's team.kw.com. Okay. Florence says, great show. Thank you, Florence. I really appreciate that. Kenny says Gilbo wimped out. No, that's tomorrow. Glenn Gilbo is tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to Glenn. I'm really looking forward to debating Glenn on basically some stuff that he said in the past and recently. It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to having Glenn. And look, again, one thing that I will say that I respect about Glenn is that he's got some brass balls, man. He's just going to tell you what he thinks. And look, he takes a beating on social media and Twitter and all that stuff, but he just keeps on trucking. He's got his own little niche on how he does things, and I don't really ever agree with him, really ever. But he's going to be coming on tomorrow, and we're going to be having us a little bit of a debate. Darren says, hashtag Ask Blake, any take on the new basketball signee, Eason? Not really. I'm going to be a little honest with you, Darren, and I haven't really looked at it too much. I saw it, but just haven't been able to really sit there and look at it or look at him. So, no, not really. Here's what I'll do for you, Darren. I'll go look at and see. Just been really busy, with baseball season still going on, the Kim Mulkey stuff, spring football, and going around the SEC. And so, no, not really. So that's my fault. TJ says, thought he was coming on Wednesday. He is coming Wednesday. Yep, he's coming Wednesday. Kenny Russell says, LSU expectations should always be a championship, no matter the sport. And I agree with that. I agree with that from women's basketball, the track, who's got as number one in women's and men's track. I believe that in men's basketball, which they've never won one. I believe that obviously in football and baseball. I mean, guys, when you start winning championships, I mean, I hate to compare. I hate to compare this, but because we're always kind of somewhat trying to compare ourselves to them. But guys, quite honestly, look at Alabama when they had the football season they did. Then they had a great basketball season, and now they're doing okay in baseball. And so that's what everybody's kind of, like we have to how do I want to say this? We have to expect championships. Like LSU is a culture and a place that can and should and always will win championships, and anything less than that is just subpar. Joshua says, #Ask Blake, do you think any of the freshman running backs coming in, as my camera goes out, do you think any of the freshman running backs coming in could take the job and run with it? Yes, I do. I do fully believe that you could have a guy like Corey Connor come in and really take some reps. I think that you could have Amari Goodwin come in and take some reps as he's literally the fastest guy in Alabama when it comes to high school. So, yeah, I definitely could see that. And look, I thought that Ty Davis-Price had some decent runs. But if you can't catch the football in this upcoming offense, then you're not going to play a lot. And look, we didn't see John Emery this spring, and what can he do? But I think that it's safe to say that these guys can come in there and definitely battle. And look, Ed Orgeron said that. Ed's been very vocal about that. Ryan says everything, even in the rowing team. Yeah, I agree. Kenny says, I support every LSU sport. Basketball won the national title in 1935. Okay, there you go. I thought that they did. All right, guys, you know what? We've been at it for 58 minutes, and LSU baseball is still going on. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to prepare for Glenn Guilbeau tomorrow. We're going to have the debate. Hopefully he shows up. I think that he will. But we're going to have the debate. He said some things about LSU, and I think it's going to be a fun time. And I know I ask all of you, just be nice. You don't have to, just be cordial. Be cordial. That's a better way to put it. All right, guys, but until then, my name is Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports. You guys have a good night. Peace out.